Are you ever just chilling on your couch watching an episode of F-Boy Island laughing hysterically because Nikki Glaser is amazing and then suddenly you're having a panic attack? Yeah, if so, this episode's for you. Welcome to our series on panic attacks. I'm Jenny Ketchum-Crooks, the owner of the West Coast Anxiety Clinic, and over the next four episodes, we'll explore what panic attacks are, how to manage them in the moment, long-term strategies for recovery, and how to build a panic-resilient life. But today, we're focusing on understanding panic attacks, what they are, why they happen, and I'd like to introduce the concept of behavioral footprints, the patterns that precede panic attacks that can help us identify and address them earlier on. But before I dive in, I want to emphasize that while this series provides educational information, panic attacks are treatable with professional and skilled help. You need a trained therapist. Working with a skilled clinician gives you the best chance for recovery and panic attack management. This series complements professional treatment, but it doesn't replace it. Okay, what is a panic attack? Well, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is really just the book of symptoms we use to categorize stuff for insurance purposes and ease of treatment decisions, it's an abrupt surge of intense fear or discomfort that reaches a peak within minutes when there isn't any apparent danger or cause. Like we are sitting on the couch, we are watching Temptation Island, and suddenly we are panicking. What is happening? That's a panic attack. So these panic attack episodes can feel absolutely terrifying. Your heart starts racing. You might struggle to breathe. You may feel really disconnected from reality. And many people describe a genuine fear that they're dying or losing control. It's really scary. Fortunately, panic attacks typically peak within minutes and rarely last longer than 30 minutes, although the after effects can linger for hours. The body remembers stuff. It keeps the score. What makes them particularly distressing is their sudden and overwhelming nature. Like literally nothing else exists except panic. Let's talk about common symptoms. The physical symptoms often include racing or pounding heartbeat, shortness of breath or hyperventilation like you've been running, chest pain or tightness. This is why a lot of people end up in the ER. Dizziness or lightheadedness, sweating and hot flashes or chills, trembling or shaking, nausea or stomach distress. And then there's also psychological symptoms, which can include a fear of dying or losing control, feelings of unreality or detachment, a sense of impending doom, an intense fear that seems disconnected from reality. Again, we're just watching Temptation Island. Why am I having a panic attack? Listen, it's important to understand that panic attacks aren't actually dangerous for us, even though they feel catastrophic. Your body is not in actual danger during a panic attack. But here's something to know. Panic attacks don't just appear randomly. They follow a pattern we call the panic cycle. Understanding this cycle is the first step toward breaking it. Let's go to a whiteboard and check this out, okay? The cycle typically starts with a trigger. This could be an external situation, physical sensation, or even a thought. For example, feeling your heart race after climbing the stairs, experiencing dizziness, or thinking, what if I panic? These triggers lead to anxious thoughts. Something's wrong with me. I'm going to faint. I'm having a heart attack. I'm going to lose control. All of these thoughts start racing and racing and racing, and they actually trigger your body's alarm system, the fight or flight response, which causes adrenaline to surge through your body. I know when I have had panic attacks, it feels like that moment right before you get into a car crash and adrenaline just dumps into your arms, which produces even more physical sensations, which then fuel more anxious thoughts, which creates this feedback loop that can rapidly escalate into a full-blown panic attack. What's really fascinating is that the panic cycle is maintained by our attempts to fight or avoid it. The more we resist these sensations or try to escape them, the stronger and more potent they often become. What we resist persists. This is where behavioral approaches like acceptance and commitment therapy or exposure therapy can be transformative transformative. Instead of fighting against the panic, we learn to respond differently to break the cycle. And that's something that we're going to explore a lot more in our next episode. Now, I want to take a few minutes to introduce a concept that can be game-changing for managing panic. I call it behavioral footprints. Behavioral footprints are the patterns of thoughts or feelings and behaviors that consistently precede your panic attacks. They're like little warning signs. And if you can see them early, if you can recognize them early on, you can intervene before the panic escalates. These footprints are unique to each person, but there are some common examples. So, common examples. You might notice changes in your breathing patterns. You might notice your breathing becomes really shallow, or you might find yourself holding your breath. You might notice increased body scanning. You're constantly checking how your body feels. Am I panicking now? Is there panic here? Is there panic here? You might even notice some catastrophic thinking. Your thoughts might begin to spiral toward the worst case scenario. You might even notice some avoidance behaviors, subtly avoiding situations that trigger anxiety. We'll talk more about that later too. You might notice physical tension, particularly in your shoulders or your chest or your jaw. You might notice sleep disruptions in the days before a panic attack. You might notice increased irritability or even emotional sensitivity. I notice I can be really porous before and also after something like this. So by tracking your experiences, by beginning to identify those unique behavioral footprints, you create an awareness. And that awareness is a crucial window of opportunity where you can implement strategies before the panic really takes hold, right? Again, a skilled clinician can help you identify these patterns and develop personalized strategies to address them, turning what was once an invisible trigger into a recognizable and manageable warning sign. Let's get into the brain science of panic. So, understanding the neurobiology of panic can help demystify these frightening experiences because they are, like I said, super terrifying. Panic attacks involve your brain's threat detection system. This is your brain, this is your prefrontal cortex, this is the threat detection system. And it particularly involves your amygdala, which acts as your brain's alarm. When this alarm system becomes oversensitive, it can misinterpret normal bodily sensations as dangerous. Your brain goes, "Blah!" For example, a slight increase in heart rate that would normally go unnoticed might be interpreted as a sign of imminent danger, triggering a cascade of physiological responses designed to protect you. Your body releases stress hormones like adrenaline, which causes physical symptoms like racing heart and rapid breathing and heightened alertness. These are normal responses to danger. But in a panic attack, they occur when there's no actual threat. Temptation Island, chilling on the couch, eating boom chicka pop. What's important to understand is that this system isn't broken. You and your brain are not broken. You're doing exactly what you're designed to do. Your brain is just trying to protect you. It's just being triggered inappropriately. The good news is that we can retrain this system through therapeutic approaches. Evidence-based therapeutic approaches. Okay, so panic attacks, as we know, are intensely personal experiences. But remember, you're not alone. Research from World Mental Health surveys found about 13.2% of people will experience a panic attack at some point in their lives, while approximately 1.7% develop panic disorder. Even I have experienced a panic attack, and I'm a trained mental health clinician who trains people how to have panic attacks. The key takeaway from today's episode is that panic attacks follow patterns. They have identifiable triggers, cycles, and behavioral footprints that can help us understand and address them. While panic attacks feel catastrophic in the moment, they are highly treatable with professional help. Studies have shown that treatments like exposure therapy, which is a very specific type of cognitive behavioral therapy, can produce significant reductions in panic symptoms. Join us next time for part 2 of our series, where we'll explore immediate coping strategies for when panic strikes. We'll learn powerful techniques from acceptance and commitment therapy that can help you respond differently to panic sensations rather than getting caught in that cycle of fear. You'll discover practical methods to ground yourself during an attack and how to work with your body instead of against it. Subscribe now so you don't miss these potentially life-changing strategies that can help you ride the wave of panic rather than being overwhelmed by it. I'm Jenny Ketchum-Crooks, reminding you that understanding is just the first step toward healing. The second step involves action toward the life you want. Come get it.